NFL that's clocked over 20 miles an hour speed, and it's Justin Fields twice. He's already the fastest player in the NFL right now, which is
As a
it's
quarterback.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
I'll pull it
I
up.
don't believe it. No,
DP's he's an eyes guy. Like when you watch Vic.
No. Michael Vick is the fastest quarterback to ever play in the NFL, and anybody that says otherwise has been sipping Kool-Aid that's been sitting out too long.
Oh, I won't say he's faster than Michael Vick because we just didn't have the technology at the time. I have no idea how fast Vick was, but
no one does. Usain Bolt might.
Yeah, like Michael Vick's in the elite sprint all time of all NFL players that includes Deion, Darrell Green, Ron Brown. Like there's an elite Willie Gault. He's in that final 10, Tyreek Hill, of sprinters who were elite world-class sprinters who happen to be really good at football.
Willie Beeman wishes he could be Michael Vick, okay?
Right? Like that's all true. All statement of fact. All facts.
Right. We gotta appease our wrestling fans, and so what brought on having the greatest female on the mic of all time was my wife was in the other room last week, and I'm often watching wrestling from previous decades, and she's like, "Was that live? What was that? Was that live?" And that was when Saraya came back, Paige Saraya, whichever name you want to use. She came back and had the emotional promo that she had with Dr. DMD Britt Baker last Wednesday, and it reminded me how great she was on the mic, and when we went from divas champions, AJ Lee being a champion for 3 years from 2012 to 2014, and then Paige coming the night after WrestleMania 30 and coming in and just winning the belt. That started the revolution. It was a shocking win because AJ Lee was so dominant. And then after that, we would just hear so many great promos from Paige. So for me, going back, looking in history, who are the greatest females on the mic? And I know DP is going to ask the parameter. This would be any female. So it's not just wrestlers. And before you go and as we say every time, you're the encyclopedia or Google, I want to get my props because I have people on there that you would probably be like, Haas didn't put her on there. So
okay,
I'll say mine real quick. There are some young cats in there just because that's most of my wrestling. So I made a top 6 with Sasha Banks being number 6. I just love the way Sasha Banks talks on the mic, the mannerisms she has. She's a great bad guy. She's a great heel. Sasha Banks has to be in the top 6 for me. Number 5, excuse me.
Just 2 words, man. Just 2 words. Set it off, man. Set it off.
I can't scream it and be annoying like she did it, but excuse me.
Right.
That's all that needs to be said. Vicky Guerrero,
right.
she gets number 5.
Yes.
Number 4, I talked about her. Paige. She gets to be there. Number 4. I believe she was the catalyst to change women's wrestling from divas to actual wrestlers. But the greatest female wrestler since then, and probably of all time, would be number 3 in my opinion. The greatest heel, the greatest bad guy, the person who had the role model growing up, and that's Charlotte Flair. I didn't have her at 1 or 2. I have her at 3.
Okay.
I think you're going to guess who number 1 is just because of who I like. I think you're going to guess who number 1 is. I think many storylines were created and altered and marinated because of number 1. But number 2, it's a combination of Dusty and a combination of the Macho Man. And people my age didn't really get to see her that much, and that's Sherry Martel. And I could probably pause and let you talk about her because I went and listened to 5 different promos of her, and with the Harlem Heat, with whichever group she was with, she was always so strong.
She didn't care. She didn't care who she was with. She put it down.
And then, fine, number 1, it's the baddest woman in wrestling. It is the whatever you want it to be, the billionaire princess, the boss's daughter, Triple H's wife. No, it's just Stephanie McMahon. It's Stephanie McMahon. The hardest slapper in wrestling with her words, with her hand. Ask Bautista what it feels like to be slapped by her. Ask the Big Show what it's like to be slapped by her. The Yes movement wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for her calling that guy a B+ player. So her words on the mic, it's Stephanie McMahon, number one.
I'll go back in history a little in that the best women's wrestler ever, from a technical standpoint for how wrestling is performed today, the Game Changer, was also elite on the microphone, and her time as a heel set her apart in that Amy Dumas, Lita, the best wrestler and the best heel ever. I thought she was a better heel. Her run as a heel was actually better than any of Stephanie's runs as heels. Stephanie had pop because of power, but when it came to what was being said in the ring about other wrestlers, she and the most underrated heel in women's wrestling, AJ Lee, who her time as a heel, she went after people personally. Like she went after her shredding the twins verbally was just strong arm, strong game, powerful stuff. Underrated mic skills because she was just such a physical phenom and had presence. But when Trish Stratus laid it down, verbally. Again, stratisfaction guaranteed. You talk about the power of setting off a room with those two words. Like she'd shred her opponent, then she'd tell you, and why? Because stratisfaction guaranteed. You just went, okay, everybody, I'm full in. You can go through some of the folks who missed out. Deborah, who was really good on the mic. It was kind of subjugated because of she was involved with the power brokers at the time and Vince McMahon and the Horsemen and all of that place. Underrated in this thing and forgotten when it comes to valets and people who went toe to toe. Look, I don't know any other woman in wrestling that went toe to toe verbally with Dusty Rhodes, but Baby Doll got it done. Baby Doll got it done, whether it was with the Horsemen, whether it was with Tully Blanchard, whether it was with Jimmy Garvin, it didn't really matter. But Baby Doll went toe-to-toe when it came to putting the verbiage in. And then from that same era, this lady had presence and power. And I want to say this as simple as I can say it. Woman was as good on the microphone and just simply lacing people with, you aren't man enough to have me hold your hand. Like she was just, there are those, and then the two queens of it. Stephanie's number one, and there's no debate about it. Stephanie's as good on the microphone as anybody. But nobody in the history of wrestling said less and said more than Elizabeth. Like nobody carried where people hung on you can think of 20 words and each of them had meaning, purpose, value, and changed a storyline and the direction of wrestling like Elizabeth. So that's my group of 10.
Right on time, because we are